Is it? Welcome back into inning 3 of Clearing the Bases, where us showing up on a Wednesday night is almost as automatic as an Atlanta Brave hitting the IL. I'm Nick. We have our 4 guests here tonight. How are we doing tonight, fellas?
We're doing better before that joke, Nick. Thanks.
Listen, I've got some for other teams coming too, Jason. It was just your turn since you won last week.
Appreciate it.
So I'm Nick from Rounding Third. We got Chris. How are you doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Love it. We got Jason from Romantic About Baseball. How are we doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Like the hat, Chris. Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. We got Lorenzo from Big League Talk. How are we doing? Takes.
Man.
Love it. And then Rob on location from NYMLB Talk. How we doing, Rob?
Doing it right now that for the first time ever, I have to do a show from my iPhone. So let's see how this works out.
Well, it's part of being a podcaster, man. It happens. So awesome. All right, let's get into the rules and the format for this week. I will present questions for each round. Panelists will give their takes. Points will be rewarded by me for the best takes. And multiple panelists can score on the same question. What earns points is strong arguments, unique perspectives, and conviction in your take. And we'll score, or scoring points will carry over each episode, and a weekly winner earns the Diamond King of the week, which is really cool. Lorenzo put together some baseball cards for us at the end, which are pretty awesome. So you'll have to stick around to see those. But here is today's lineup. It's a lot of just buy and sell questions for the entire 3 rounds. So first pitch will be 3 questions on first base. Then second base will be turning up the heat. And then third base will be the bottom of the ninth, which is our typical Hall of Fame question. So let's jump into it. Starting first base, first pitch, round 1, buy or sell. Buy or sell, Jordan Walker. Is the breakout finally here? You buying or selling it? Chris?
You know what? I'm buying it, right? Because this is already his 4th season, right? He came up in 2023, and he's still only 24 years old. And we're starting to see the potential that they drafted him, originally at, right? 21st overall in the draft back in 2020. But this, you could finally start to see that. I think they're letting him just be who he is, right? Remember when they first came up, you're hitting too much in the ground. They sent him down the last couple of years. He just couldn't find his footing. Last year, he only hit 6 home runs in 111 games, almost 400 at bats. This year, he's already got 8 home runs and 15 RBIs, leading the league in home runs, obviously, slugging, and WAR. Total bases. So yeah, I'm definitely buying this. This is finally the breakout year for Jordan Walker.
All right, Jason.
Yeah, I'm selling just on the small sample size. He does have some good peripherals. That's easy for me to say. His hard hit rate is up. His contact rate is up. But it's still early. I'm not saying, it depends on what you mean by breakout too. I mean, I think, is he going to be what we may have expected him to be when he first started? I don't know. But if this is a point where he's reached where he's a good Major League Baseball player, then I might buy that. But it kind of depends on our definition. But as far as like being locked in that this is it, he's going to take off from here, I'm not quite bought in. I'm selling on that one.
All right, Lorenzo.
Yeah, I'm buying it. I love it right now. And I like diving into why we think it's happening. So we know that he's leading the league in home runs. OPS is through the roof. He's hitting 330, which I don't think is maintainable. But buying the process, the kid went to Driveline during the offseason. He's getting more upright. He's getting more lift in the ball. To Chris's point, they sent him down the last 2 years because he was hitting the ball too much on the ground. His first 3 years in the league, 47% ground ball rate. This year, 36%. His ideal angle of attack, first 3 years, 44% of the time he's hitting that. Now he's hitting it 65% of the time. Really small sample size, but it is a different hitter. And you see it in the box. He has more confidence. And I think that the Chris Carter profile that got thrown out a couple years ago, it's like, hey, he might just have that one big 40 home run year. That's not true. I think Matt Chapman is kind of the floor for him with a Giancarlo Stanton, how loud this kid hits that ball as the ceiling. You got to remember, he's 23 years old. So with his swing, his data, it's not a hot streak. We're watching a real breakout with this kid.
All right, Rob.
Yeah, I'm buying. You guys said it all already. He changed his batting stance, right? So now, not hitting as many ground balls. He's hitting a ball in the air, and look at what the difference is. All right, already with the home runs, 8 to start in the first 16 games, and like Chris said, well, I'm going to add a little to it. He only had 11 home runs in 162 games. All right, so you see the difference right there. He looks confident. He's still young. I know it's only the beginning of the season, a couple of weeks in, but I think, I'm going to be a buyer on this one just because of what I've seen this first 2 weeks and the changing in the batting stance. He looks pretty good.
Okay. Ken Card says he's definitely buying Walker. So got another one there. I'm going to give Jason the points on this one because it is a extremely small sample size. Now, you look what happened when he came up his rookie season. He hit in like 13 straight games and then disappeared, right? And then, like you guys said, he's up and down in the minors. So the league, again, hasn't seen this guy. Has he made the adjustments? Yes, right? He's hitting the ball out of the ballpark. But again, small sample size. Pitchers are going to adjust to that again and find a hole. And will he get lost again? I think he can. So I'm kind of going with Jason on that one. Like, yes, great start, not taking anything away from the start, but he's been too inconsistent for me to buy. So that's where I stand on that one. All right, moving on.
That's a great take, Nick. I love it. Yeah. It's a great take.
All right. Second question. Buying or selling that the Rockies won't finish with the worst record in baseball? Jason.
I'm selling it. I think there's 3 contenders here: the Rockies, the Nats, and the White Sox. They're all strong contenders for this title. And, looking at it right now, the White Sox actually have the worst run differential, the worst runs scored. The Nats actually have 99 runs scored coming into today, which is only one less than the Braves for first place in the East. So they can score. The Rockies are kind of in between that with around, I think it's 71. But I just think the division, the differentiator for me is the division. The Rockies are playing with the Dodgers, the Padres, the Diamondbacks. They're all above 500, 3 games or more above 500. I don't think the Giants can be as bad as they've been. They're going to get better. And so I think the division kind of causes the Rockies to lose a few more games. I do think the Rockies are a baseball team than they were last year, but I still think they're probably going to squeak by the White Sox and claim the title of worst record in baseball again.
All right, Lorenzo.
Yeah, I'm buying it. Right, I know we all want to lock in the Rockies just because they've been the Rockies, and that's the story for the last few years. But you notice you can see there's already a different change in how they play ball this year. There's already that Dodger style influence bringing those front office execs over this year. Their pitching is more ground ball heavy now, and it's actually a defense that can hold up for the long season. They're filling up the stat sheet: singles, home runs, doubles, stolen bases, and that's a fun watch for me. Yes, the K rate is still awful. These guys are striking out at a high rate. They're not striking out batters when they're pitching. But the lineup depth is okay. They're still producing runs. And honestly, if you give me the field, I'm going to take the field. All right, give me the opportunity to get the White Sox in there. So I'm going to buy this one.
All right, Rob.
I'm going to sell. I think that the Rockies will have the worst record this year. And here's a couple of points. First of all, Coors Field. Okay, that with their pitching staff isn't that great. So we know what happens in Coors Field, right? The air is thin also. So by the middle of the season, they're going to be tired, because they just don't have it. I think they're going to have a worse record than the Nats and the White Sox. They just listen for their future. Yes, they brought in people that are going to fix problems, but it's going to take time. It's not going to be done in one season. And that division is a monster. They have to play the Dodgers. Forget it. Look at the Dodgers. It's crazy. The Dodgers are just insane. So I just think the division, and I'm also going to blame the ballpark, Coors Field. I just think that they're going to have the worst record in baseball still.
All right, Chris.
I'm gonna sell means I don't think they're gonna or they are gonna finish, right? I think either way, I think they are gonna finish with the worst record, right? For the record, you guys are saying, I'm gonna just add on to number one. Their pitching just has not been that good, right? Their pitcher that they brought up last year, Chase Dollander, he was supposed to be the guy that they were hinging a lot of their future on, and he just hasn't panned out yet. He might end up turning into a decent pitcher, but they were expecting him to be a pretty high profile pitcher, and so far he hasn't been that guy. The rest of the rotation's not that good. They signed Lorenzen to come in. He's been horrible. And their lineup really is a little bit better, but when you kind of you don't even have to look that deep. I mean, these guys are just not that good. Tovar is kind of slowed down a little bit. You got TJ Rumfield in the trade with the Yankees. Yeah, he's playing great right now and good for him. But those numbers are going to come down. I don't see that, going for the whole season. Brenton Doyle still, I don't know what happened to this guy, but a couple of years ago he was an all-star. Now he's not even batting 200. So, I don't think they're going to lose 119 games, but I think it's going to still be about 100 games, a little bit over. And I think they're going to have the worst record.
Okay. This might be weird, but I'm going to give you all 5 points here. I think they're all great takes with the division, the selling, all that stuff. But Lorenzo, I'm kind of on Lorenzo's. I don't know if this team is going to finish with the worst record. They just had the Monforts just sold 40% of the team to the majority owners of the Broncos. So there's some money coming in. Monfort finally standing back and just being like, hey, we need some help to compete here. Like someone said, will that help this year? Maybe not necessarily, but the Rockies are heading in a direction. And if you look right now, their bullpen had like a 1.87 ERA. Like Antonio Zenzatella, I think I got his name right, went from starter to closer, and he's shutting down games for them. They swept the Astros. They have some good pieces, and they got veterans in there that I think can get this team in the right direction. So I am buying it with the chance to sell in a couple weeks.
They have lost 5 in a row, by the way. They're on a 5-game losing streak.
Yeah, but everybody else in the league is playing like that, Jason, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's like 6 in a row win, 6 in a row loss. Like, look at last weekend. Yankees done, Astros done. Like, everyone was streaking down, and then they've turned around and streaked, except for the Red Sox. They just streaked down and continue to streak down, but that's a discussion for a different day. But yeah, I'm right in the middle, so I think you all have great points there. I'm gonna award points to everyone. So great takes on that one. Yeah, John Temple says it's still 60 feet 6 inches from the mound to home. And then yes, the Rockies still stink.
That's good.
More or less. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think they're headed in the right direction. Let's at least give them that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, and having a 35 home run guy in the middle of your lineup doesn't hurt either. Hunter Goodman's the real deal. That kid can hit.
I love that.
Yeah, that kid can mash. All right, last one for this round. With the Tigers start, Tarek Skubal will be traded at the deadline. Buy or sell, Chris? Lorenzo. Sorry, you already went first.
Yeah, so I am selling that he's not getting traded, but the Tigers will make some big moves at this deadline, right? They're not trading him. He's their ace, and the packages that you get for ace pitchers are just not that desirable at the deadline as they have been in years past. And because you could clearly see the issues of the Tigers right now. Their defense isn't that great at a few positions. The lineup isn't complete 1 through 9. so you can't waste this year of Tyreek Skubal. You don't know how much more you got with this team. Go out, go big now, get that center fielder, go ahead, get somebody to supplement Spencer Torkelson, Riley Green, and Kerry Carpenter. We know these guys can't play every day. Get somebody to supplement them. Let's get a good run in the postseason this year.
All right, Rob.
I think they're going to trade him. So what's that? I buy this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think. Listen, I think the Tigers are gonna. It's going to come down to not having a choice. They're going to have to. They're not winning an American League championship. And they're not winning a World Series. I don't care what anybody says. They're just not going to do it. So they're going to have to trade him at the deadline and get at least something for him because he is not re-signing with the Detroit Tigers. There's no way. There's too many players out there. Even, I'm not even going to count out the Dodgers because we know what they could do. The Mets are going to go after him heavy. So it's better to trade him than get nothing in return because there's no way he's signing with Detroit. No way.
All right. Chris?
Right now, there's no way they're going to trade him early, right? They're going to take it all the way till the very last couple of weeks or a week that they could trade him. So I don't think it's going to be right away. And I don't think this team is going to be as bad as it is now when you're talking about, come May, June, and into the All-Star break, right? Minnesota right now is leading that division at 11-7. There's no way they're going to be able to sustain that all season. There's no way. So, Detroit's going to pick it up. Kansas City's going to pick it up. Cleveland's going to pick it up. All of them. So, I don't think they're going to trade him because I don't think they're going to be that far out of a playoff spot to be saying, okay, let's give up the ship and, put the white flag up. So I don't think they're going to trade him. I think if they wanted to trade him, they would have did it in the offseason. I don't think they want to trade him. They want to go as far as they can with him, try to make it into the playoffs because with that pitching, you really never know. I mean, with this kind of pitching that they have, the rotation, the bullpen, Kenley Jansen, maybe finding the fountain of youth now as the closer. But yeah, I'm definitely selling it. I don't think they're gonna trade Skubal.
You're bad mouthing the Twins there, Chris, but they just beat the pants off Skubal, beat the pants off Framber Valdez, and beat the pants off Garrett Crochet. So I don't know what you're talking. You're hating on the Twins, man. They're putting a hurting on the three of the best pitchers in the league. But anyways, Jason,
it's still April. That's all I'll say.
It's life.
We should have done buy or sell on the Twins start. And I'm selling that, by the way.
I tried to buy the franchise for $20. Like I don't bid.
I'm surprised they didn't go for that. I'm selling. I kind of taking a little bit from everybody here. Rob said they can't win a World Series. Well, I agree with that. I don't think that's the approach the Detroit front office taking. Hopefully not. I think they're looking at this like Lorenzo said. This is maybe a one last shot with this group, with the Skubal there. So I think they're going to play it out. And like Chris said, the division's not that good. The Twins are not going to last up there. They can compete in the division. They've won 4 in a row, by the way, and they're winning their game tonight late. They might hold on there and get 5 in a row. So they're going to get it together. They're going to start playing good ball. And in that division, they don't have to play that great to stay in it. So I don't see them trading away a piece that puts butts in the seats after the trade deadline as well. If the Tigers are still in the race, you're not trading your guy that's going to put people in the seats down the stretch. So like Lorenzo said, if I'm a Tigers fan, I'm hoping for other moves at the deadline that will make this team stronger and make them give them a chance to prove Rob wrong that they can win a pennant in a World Series.
Yeah, I'm going to give the points to the people that sold. So Chris, Jason, and Rob, I'm with you. And the reason I'm with you here is because a trade does nothing for Tyreek Skubal, and they're not going to get a package back with the impending lockout coming, right? He's not going to get an extension. There's no way that he gets traded and gets extended with whatever this is going to turn out to be in 2027. And none of the 30 teams know. So they're not going to trade him and extend him and then be like, oh crap, we got to get underneath the cap in some odd years, right? They're not. So they're not going to get the trade package back, to Rob's point, that they would want, right? I mean, if you're trading the best pitcher in the league, you want 5, 6, probably top of the line prospects, right? You're not going to get that at this deadline with the strike on the backside. There's no way you can convince me that they would, right? Especially if there's no chance for extension. And like Chris said, in the offseason was the best chance to move him. That would be the only time you get a full year of Tarek Skubal that you would get the full trade return that you would like. That isn't going to happen. So I'm giving it to the sellers. All right.
A couple of comments on it.
Yep. Yeah, John says traded, then he'll get big bucks from the Yanks, Dodgers, or Mets. Then they'll go on strike. I even though that they have, the money to do so, I don't see a team doing that. I really don't. Like, there's too many question marks going into this lockout. So I just don't know it. Maybe Skubal will get traded to the first place Twins. That would be incredible.
Then buy Twins.
Man, oh man. Awesome. All right. So after the first round, we got Chris with 10 points, Jason with 10 points, Lorenzo with 5, and Rob with 10. All right. We're turning up the heat. We're on second base, round 2. Buy or sell some more. Buying or selling that this year's rookie class won't produce a future MVP winner. Rob.
I'm selling because I think they can produce a future MVP winner. Look at all these guys now that are here, all these rookies. Nolan McLean, right? I think he's going to be, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a Met fan, but I really think he's going to be a star pitcher. He's one. How about Connor Griffin? Another one. We have so many young people. I mean, the Pirates extended him for a reason, right? And he may be the face of that franchise. So that's another one. The Tigers, Kevin McConkel, right? He's another one. We have so many players. The Reds, Sal Stewart. The Cardinals, J.J. Weatherholt, right? And the Guardians, Chase DeLarosa. There are so many good rookies this year. There's a great class. So for anyone to say they don't see an MVP in one of these guys, I disagree. I think one of those guys in the future may be an MVP. There's just so many good rookies this year.
All right, Chris.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Rob. This is a pretty deep rookie class. This is one of the deeper rookie classes we've seen. High-end rookies that have come up so far. And yeah, they're probably not going to win it this year, but I could definitely see it in the next few years. One of these guys, or more than one, win the MVP award. I mean, these guys are, Connor Griffin, they're comparing him to Bobby Witt. So, and we know how close Bobby Witt's come to winning the MVP. So I could see Connor Griffin doing it, especially if this Pirate team could somehow stay in the playoff race this year and get into the playoffs and kind of ride that momentum into the next few years. Yeah, I could definitely see a guy like that win the MVP. Nolan McLean, you could definitely see him winning Cy Young in the future. And you know what? Maybe he'll be that good and he could be the MVP. But I'm definitely gonna sell and say that I could see these guys winning. One of these guys winning MVPs or multiple.
All right, Jason.
Yeah, I'm going to sell, and I'm going to say we get multiple MVPs out of this group. And by multiple, I mean multiple players, possibly multiple for one person, but definitely multiple players. The caveat is we talked about this on a different episode, but the team matters sometimes in these awards, and a lot of these guys are playing for small to mid-market teams. So, I like a guy like J.J. Weatherholt. I mean, St. Louis isn't a top market team, but they're a traditional baseball power. They get a lot of attention from baseball people. So I like J.J. Weatherholt to be one of those guys. The other one's a mystery for me right now, but I do think somebody will come out of this group. McLean, maybe, to Rob's point, but pitchers sometimes have a hard time winning this award. He's definitely a future Cy Young winner. MVP, I'm not sure. But I like J.J. Weatherholt. I like Kevin McGonigal. I like Carter Griffin. I think we get multiple MVPs out of this group, and I feel very confident about that.
All right, Lorenzo.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it. It's not because it's a lack of talent. Like, baseball's in one of the best places it's ever been in with the talent that we have going on. The issue is the opportunity, right? You got to jump Aaron Judge. You got to jump Shohei Ohtani. And then after those guys clear the way, you're going to get a prime Bobby Witt, a prime Vladdy, a prime Juan Soto, prime Tatis. Those are young ball players today that in 4 or 5 years when Judge and Ohtani open up the MVPs of everybody else, that's who you got to compete with. And then by the time those guys come out of favor, now you have the next crop rising up. So I just think really unfortunate for these kids right now that they were competing against these guys that are just so much greater than them, that they still have the talent. I just don't think they're going to be able to crack that window and get to that ceiling. So I'm going to buy it. There's not an MVP winner in this year's rookie class.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Lorenzo on this for the uniqueness of the take, and I'm kind of with you, right? I mean, this is we might as well just change it to the Shohei Ohtani Memorial Award, because it is his award until he decides to retire. And at this point, after watching what Cal Raleigh did last year, it's also the Aaron Judge Memorial Award in the AL, right? I mean, until those guys are gone, no one else is winning this award. That's what, 6, 7, 8 years down the road, right?
Yeah.
Are these kids gonna improve and get better? Yeah, absolutely. Like, to all your points, you guys said that baseball's in a great place, and it absolutely is with these young kids coming up. But we look at this class like right above them. Ellie De La Cruz, O'Neal Cruz, all those. We were saying the same thing about them, and they still haven't quite got to that pinnacle. Are they gonna get a shot? I don't know if they do. So to Lorenzo's point, having so many layers of guys ready to kind of take the torch from Judge and Ohtani, I don't think it quite happens. But I've been known to eat my words before. So
just a quick note on Judge and Ohtani. Judge is going to turn 34 in a couple of days, and Ohtani is going to be 32 in, I think, July. So, I mean, yeah, for the next couple of years, I would say, yeah, they'll be the favorites, but at some point, right, they're going to fall off a cliff. They're not going to be Supermen, right? Father Time catches up to all of us. I'm not saying it's happening in the next year or two, but this ain't going to go on for another 5-6 years. At least I don't think so.
And then you get Bobby Witt, you get Juan Soto, you get Fernando Tatis.
Yeah, but then they're going to be a little bit older too, right?
Well,
I hope Judge is great for another 5-6 years, but I don't see it.
Lorenzo,
these kids can play 10, 12, 15 years. I mean, we're talking about, there's always a crop of people ahead of a rookie class, but that doesn't mean that rookie class. I mean, when Chipper Jones came up, you could have said, well, this person's playing. Right. He still won an MVP award. I mean, there's always another class coming and somebody in between them. But if these guys are good enough, I think they're different types of ball players than O'Neal Cruz and Ellie. I think these are complete ball players we're talking about this year in this crop.
I think
one of these guys is going to win an MVP award, if not more.
I think so.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, we are going to go on to the second question. Yeah, John says baseball's in a great place right now. So much talent. Going to need these guys to win back the fans after the strike. Yeah, absolutely with you. You mean Connor Griffin isn't the 2026 MVP
yeah,
already?
I thought he already won. He's right.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Buy or sell. No current player will replace Judge and Ohtani as the face of baseball. Chris.
This is a huge sell. Just for what I just said, right, about their ages. Judge is going to be 34 years old in a couple of days. Ohtani is going to be 32 years old come July 6th, I think, or the 5th. So these guys, as much as they're elite, and they're Supermen right now, and they're incredible, it's not going to last forever, right? So in about 5 or 6 years, when they start to, or even less time, when they start to decline, someone is going to step up and be that face of Major League Baseball. And I think it's one of the guys that is in the league right now, right? Whether we mentioned Bobby Witt Jr., Juan Soto, it could be, listen, if Ellie De La Cruz or O'Neal Cruz, if one of those guys puts all the pieces together, right? And it could happen, right? They're still young enough. If they just get it all together, because they're right there, they have the talent. They just got to put the pieces together, right? They got the puzzle in front of them. They figure it out. Those guys will definitely be the face. But Julio Rodriguez, there's so many great guys. The rookies that we're talking about, in another 5 or 6 years, they're going to be getting into their prime. You know, they could be the new face of Major League Baseball. Yamamoto, he could be the face of Major League Baseball. So I think, yeah, their time is now for sure and for the next few years. But a few years down the line, it's going to be someone else. And I think it's going to be somebody that's playing in the league right now.
All right, Jason.
Yeah, I think time frame is really important. This kind of goes back to our discussion about the MVP award. Time frame is important. If you're asking me this question, I'm not buying it in the I'm not buying it in the short term. I think it's Ohtani and Judge. Chris made a great point. Judge is about to turn 34 though. So if we're talking about 2 years down the line, then yes, absolutely, I'm selling. Somebody is going to take over. That's just the way sports work. You're going to have a changing of the guard. It's a perfect storm for MLB right now with these two. You got New York and you got LA. They've got to love that. They both hit home runs. Of course, Ohtani is the unicorn. He's pitching and hitting as well. So that's going to be difficult to replace that unicorn, but it always happens because these guys do age out. And Father Time does win eventually. In baseball, it wins earlier than most sports. So I do believe that short term, no, nobody's taking the mantle away from these guys. But long term, absolutely, there's going to be another superstar come along. And frankly, it'll probably be one of those guys that we talked about after they get traded to the Dodgers or the Yankees.
Lorenzo.
Yeah, got to sell it. Judge and Ohtani, they're just so iconically global. Like they're playing on the largest markets in baseball. They're always in the postseason. The guys have the longevity in the sport right now. But I do think that the face of the baseball is right now right behind them lining up. So you got Ronnie Acuna Jr., you got Bobby Witt, you got Gunnar Henderson. And the way that baseball is going to expand to their face of the league, they got to go.
Sorry, guys, got knocked off.
They got to go in and dive into that diversity, right? You got to have the Dominicans. You got to have the Venezuelans. You got to have the Japanese player. To Chris's point, Yamamoto, that's a global superstar for those guys. So you might not have the two big heights of the face of baseball where you put two guys at the top of this page, just like what we have here. But you're going to have, in the next 5 years, you're going to have 6 guys that they put at the top of the page and say, hey, we are this diverse. We could reach into every aspect of the world.
Okay. Rob. All right. We've lost Rob again.
Again.
Yeah. I think I'm with you guys for sure. I'm with you guys for sure. It is a sell for all you said. But yeah, it's 5 or 6 years more of years with these guys. I mean, they're just the top of the mountain, and no one's taking that away. To Lorenzo's point, which I thought was great, is no matter who is the next face of MLB baseball, they're not going to reach the same height as these two. I think these two have set the bar so incredibly high that it will be hard to, quote unquote, replace them as the face of baseball, right? And market is the other thing. Jason brought it up earlier. Bobby Witt Jr., can you be the face of baseball when you're Kansas City Royal? Can you? I don't, maybe. I mean, Mike Trout was sort of in Anaheim. I'm like, he didn't even kind of want it, but he still sort of was. But I think,
was he? Like, how many people out east saw Mike Trout play? You know, like,
that's my point. It's like, if you see Shohei Ohtani or Aaron Judge in public, you know who they are. The next face of baseball, if they go out in public, will the general public know who they are? I don't necessarily know.
It really depends. It really depends on how well his team does, I think, right? Yeah. If his team is going to be a winning team, you're going to know who that guy is. Like, obviously, Ohtani, he transcends everything because of who he is and everything, and because he's the international player. But I think if a guy like Bobby Witt Jr., if for whatever reason, if the Royals start winning and start at least getting into the playoffs and more people do watch him play and see him play, yeah, I think he could be the face of Major League Baseball, and he could be a guy that's going to be recognized if he's walking down the street in the middle of Manhattan or something, right? Obviously, Judge or Ohtani can't do it, but I think somebody can do it. It's just a matter of, it's got to be, I'll say it this way, it's got to be the right situation for it to happen.
Yeah. So quick question before we move on. Do you think it's important? Because right now, like we said, it's the perfect scenario. Aaron Judge is the new Captain America. He's from here. He's got the nation underneath him, right? Shohei Ohtani's the global superstar. He's got the whole country of Japan over here watching baseball. He's got this whole country captivated. Is there 2 other stars underneath them that can have, I'm not going to say the same global reach because that would be insane, right? But like a guy like Ronald Acuna with the Venezuelan, or Juan Soto bringing in Dominican, where it's outside the U.S. that can bring a quote unquote new demographic to the game. Is there a player right now that could step into that role and do it as well as these two?
No, not right now. We don't know what's coming, and I think the fact that the game is opening up globally, and with the WBC success and what Ohtani does, drawing in that audience from Japan, I think we're going to see more and more great players from other places. Now, will we get another Ohtani? Who knows? But I mean, we thought at one, probably people thought we'll never see another Babe Ruth, or we'll never see another Hank Aaron, or we'll never see another Willie Mays. And there's always another superstar coming, so we don't know. I mean, we got King Griffey Jr. and Barry Bonds and whatever you think about Bonds, but the global game now, I think, is going to change this to where, yeah, we might see another Ohtani type that we're not used to seeing in the United States, because that's really not our style to have a guy pitch and hit and come up through the minors and do both well. Whereas in Japan, maybe that's more of a thing. So I don't think we know for sure, but I do think it's a possibility. But right now, in the short term, it's these two guys. Long term, though, somebody has to take over. I think you're all missing the boat. I think you're discounting Jazz Chisholm. When he gets that 50-50 season,
it's happening.
It's going to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Hey, he's already got it. 50 errors, 50 strikeuts.
There you go.
Hey, guys, I know I got knocked out, but I was going for the sell also. So, you know.
All right. Yeah. Michael says if the Royals become a dynasty, Witt could be the face of MLB.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think the Royals are a long ways from a dynasty, but that's just me. But yes. Welcome, Julio. Love that. Only Messi and Ronaldo, and they don't hit baseballs.
Right.
It's fair.
Jake Baldwin, love it.
All right. Easy on the Braves bias here. Moving
There we
on.
go.
Okay. All right.
Here we go.
Round 3. Here we go. Scores going in. We got Chris. I gave you all 10 points, and love it. So Chris has got 20. Jason's got 20. Lorenzo's got 25, and Rob has got 20. All right. Because he said sell before he got booted. I heard his whole take, but you guys couldn't hear it, so he's got the 10. All right, so this is to determine our winner. Round 3, buy or sell. This one, I am interested to hear your takes, because we got a lot of different generational takes on this show. So I am really looking forward to this discussion. Buy or sell, this is the most talented generation in MLB history. Starting with Jason.
I'm selling. I'm always going to sell this type of question because baseball is different across eras. And the only thing you can do to compare is stats. But the stats can be different because the players were different and the talent level was different. So I'm selling it. It is a talented generation. There's no question about that. And they do have to hit faster pitches and more break on the pitches. And the hitters are stronger and they're in better shape. But I tell you, sometimes I wonder about being in better shape because I feel like we have more injuries now to guys who are ripped than we did John Kruk and Bob Horner back in the 80s and 90s, right? Those guys just went out and played ball. So I'm going to sell this question just because I don't think there's a valid way in baseball to judge this question. Could Babe Ruth hit a fastball in 2026? I don't know. Like, we don't know, and we never will. So it's so subjective that my opinion is we'll never reach an actual point of being able to say, yes, this is the most talented generation. So I'm going to sell it. Despite it's obvious it's a very talented generation, but I'm going to sell it.
All right, Lorenzo.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it. And I know the initial pushback is, there was a generation that had Clemens, Pedro, Randy Johnson, Derek Jeter, Nomar, A-Rod. Yeah, this generation's still more talented overall, top bottom, than those were. Those previous generations, those were really big clusters at the top. Today's generation, we have 1 through 30 on a lot of teams. Look at shortstops down for almost every team. You're like, hey, these guys could play ball out there. And something that is now more infused than ever before, we are more of a global game than ever before. You have more Venezuelans in the game than ever before, more Dominicans in the game, more Puerto Ricans, more Cubans, more Japanese players in the game. Before, it was so heavy American, but now you're opening that talent pool to get everybody else in this game. You're getting more talent in there. Right, so this has to be the most talented generation that's out there currently. We have more 30-30 threats, more elite exit velocity, more spin rate than ever before. That's talent. That's, yes, the previous generations had higher baseball IQs and you probably saw a better baseball product with that baseball IQ because sometimes we see a lot of miscues on the field now. but talent level, you can't argue with how these guys are all throwing 98 out of the pen plus. It moves deeper than ever.
I'll argue with it. The word talent is subjective. It's your define talent. It's subjective. The guys throwing breaking balls in the 1920s were very talented for their time throwing those breaking balls. It's all subjective. That's my pushback.
Yeah, but more global than ever. In 1920s, you only had we started with a talent pool of just the neighborhood guys. Now you have a talent pool of the entire world, and we're getting the best of the best. So my take's the bottom.
But you have to judge each era on who played then. You can't say, well, they didn't have Venezuelans in 1920.
Yeah,
I mean, they didn't. Okay, that's too bad. I wish they had.
All right, Chris.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Rob. You could go.
Oh yeah, Rob.
Me? Okay. I might as well go fast in case I get stuck. I'm going to sell, and I'm going to tell you why. Like you said, each generation has their greatest players. And yes, there's more players from around the world now, but also you have to remember there's more teams. So that means it's more watered down. Okay. There's more of a shot for someone to make it than there was. And we see that now a lot, right? We see players who should not be in the major leagues right now. If you want to go back to the 20s and 30s when you have Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, right? Ty Cobb, those guys were great. Cy Young. All right. And then the 40s, 50s, and 60s, Ted Williams, Mickey Mantle, Stan Musial, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, and the 70s, the Big Red Machine, the Yankees in 78, 79. You have all those players, Seaver, Bench, Rose, the 80s, Jeter, Mariano, Pedro, Big Papi, everybody. So I think, I have to have a sell. It depends on the generation. And I think because there's so many teams that it is a little watered down now.
All right,
hey Nick, real quick. I don't mean to keep it, but I think it's Jackie Robinson Day. First of all, we need to acknowledge. I know Chris has got the hat on, so Jackie Robinson Day.
Yes.
In that spirit, I think it's also important to bring up that for a good period of the 1920s to 60s, there or 50s, African American players were not allowed to play in the major leagues, and now we're acknowledging their accomplishments. We're acknowledging their stats in modern times. We're putting them in the Hall of Fame. So I think we have to also count that as that's talent that was in the major leagues during that time that we don't typically think of. But Josh Gibson and Satchel Paige and those guys, we should think about them, to kind of Lorenzo's point. No, they weren't Venezuelan, but they were in baseball and they were playing professional baseball by how we define it today. And I just think it's important, especially on a day like today, to acknowledge that.
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, it's a shame that we don't have what their full stats are, right? I mean, because we could be looking at baseball history completely different. Who knows? Babe Ruth might not even be Babe Ruth if these guys were allowed to play together. Just think about that for a second, right? You have Josh Gibson, who is rumored to hit over 800 career home runs in his barnstorming days in the time of the Negro Leagues, right? He's only credited for 167. Now, I mean, I get it. Yeah. They didn't have the historical archives to be able to keep track of this stuff. They didn't, but yeah, great point, Jason. And yeah, happy Jackie Robinson Day to everyone for sure. Chris, your take, buying or selling?
Yeah, I'm just going to add to it. I'm going to sell. It's definitely the most physically gifted, I would say. But the most talented, I don't know if they're the most talented. You guys are bringing up all the great points. I look at it this way: from before the 70s, these guys were basically training blind, right? There was no video, there was no analytics, right? There was none of this stuff. It was just go out and play baseball. Especially if you go back to like the Babe Ruth era, like who were they trying to be like, right? Like who were they trying to emulate when the league itself was 20 years old, 30 years old? In its in its very beginnings. So now I think they are incredibly physically gifted. Like we said, now these guys are throwing 98, 99 with ease, more movement on their pitches, without a doubt. But I don't know if that's talent or if that's just physically gifted. Now these kids are just more mature physically. earlier in their lives as well. But talent wise, I think back in the day, I think we had more talent in the game. Because Rob said, yeah, there's more teams now, so it's a little bit more watered down. So yeah, there's obviously more players, but it's also more watered down as well. But talent wise, I think there were more talent in the earlier days. Now it's just pure physicality now, right? The pitchers are trying to throw 100 miles an hour instead of trying to pitch. They're just throwing. It's almost like they've lost the art of pitching to, now they're just throwing the ball instead of trying to pitch like, say, Greg Maddux back in the day, right? And the hitters, obviously, we know it's all about launch angle. It's about how far they could hit and everything else. It's not about batting average, getting on base and all that. So more talented, I don't know, but definitely more physically gifted. So I'm going to sell.
All right. We got a lot of comments in the chat on this one. John Carter says most physically talented now, but some of the worst ball players. And I mean, if that ain't the best comment of the night right there, like for sure. I mean, 1,000% nailed it. Mike Reed underneath, it's the most athletic generation, but steroid era had more superstars than today's game. Yep. More athletic, but not better all around players. As we're seeing that the baseball today is very one dimensional. I'm going to blow it by you, or I'm going to take you 450 feet deep. Like that is it. That's the game. If I make a cow laugh real hard, will milk come out of its nose? I don't know. How can you say what generation is better than the last or next? But technology, science, year-round ball certainly helps with the numbers we see, but the fundamentals suck nowadays. And it is tough to watch that. Yeah. John says old-time stats are inflated as they were playing against guys who stocked shelves in the offseason. The talent gap was huge.
Because they had to stock shelves in the offseason because they didn't make any money.
Everybody was doing that.
It was ridiculous argument. Everybody uses that. It's ridiculous. Yeah. By the way, can you guys hear Lorenzo? He's like, these old guys. God, I'm on this show with these old guys.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a modern day Bob Gibson? I mean, the guy broke the game.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we gotta lower the mound. This guy's he's not fair. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I never got to see Bob Gibson pitch. I really wish I did. He's one of the guys that I would go back in history and buy seats right behind home plate. I don't want to see that guy pitch. I want to feel that guy pitch. Yeah. That's why I want to sit right behind home plate. But yeah, man, I wish. Well, Rob, you saw Bob Gibson pitch?
Yes, I'm old.
All right. Wow. All right. Well then,
and you can talk to our friend, former Giant pitcher and Padre pitcher John D'Acquisto, because if you saw our show when he was on, he will tell you about the time him and Gibson had a big match against each other, throwing pitches at each other. Right, Chris?
Yeah, and then they kind of faced each other after the game. It was a pretty good story.
Hey, Rob, if you'll give us the address to that old folks home you stay in, we'll get some letters sent out to you.
That's what I meant by on location.
That's it, yeah. He's not allowed to leave.
So my take on it, if you guys really care, I'm with all of you. I think you all hit points. I'm giving you guys all points for that because every single point I can get behind and make an argument. To Lorenzo's point, I think the talent gap at the top and the guys at the bottom are very much more squished, if you will, than talent back in the day, right? You had the elite players, and then you just kind of had like, I don't want to say blah, because they were, professional baseball players, but your guys at the bottom weren't hitting home runs. They couldn't play defense, right? Like the talent gap was much bigger back in the day, where I think today it's a lot more compacted. I guess like the bottom guy and the top guys are closer together in talent. So I agreed with that, Lorenzo. Rob, your point about lesser teams, right? Lesser teams you have to funnel the good talent into those teams. So therefore, like you have the best of the best at that time. That's an absolutely excellent point there. And then Jason, your point about, back in the day, like, we could have had the most talented generations ever, but we don't know because they were split. Like that's another thing that unfortunately we'll never know. But I mean, it's a fantastic point. And then Chris, your point about those guys in the 20s not having anybody to emulate, like they were the bar setters for all of quote unquote baseball history, the 10 years of its existence, right? I mean, no one hit home runs until Babe Ruth started doing it, right? And then he's the bar. Like, do we have guys that keep pushing that bar a little bit? Like, yes, but not to the same capacity that Babe Ruth did and those guys back then, like Ruth and Gehrig. So, I mean, all those points were absolutely incredible. I can get behind every single one of them. So 20 points to all the houses at Hogwarts here. So we are going to crown the champion, and it was a pretty close game across the board here, only separated by 5 points. Our winner tonight is Lorenzo by 5 points. So nice job, Lorenzo. And any last words out of you, sir?
Yeah, I just got something quick to say. Like, we talk about talent, takes, winning debates, and it's beautiful that it happened on Jackie Robinson today because nothing happens without Jackie Robinson in the game of baseball, right? 42 changed everything. Felt right to bring home a win today on the pod. Look forward to making it 2 in a row next week.
Love it. Anything else, fellas, before we head out?
I just always like to mention Larry Doby on these days too, because he gets overlooked. But first African American to play in the American League,
Right.
so we don't have a Larry Doby day. But I like to mention his name along with Jackie.
Yeah, I have him on my show as one of the most underrated Hall of Famers, and he's a huge reason why. Like another guy that deserves credit for sure. Nice call, Jason. Anything else out of the New York crew?
I'm just going to listen. It's Jackie Robinson Day, right? I'm just going to quickly put up the movie here. I think everybody's seen it at least once already, right? Great movie. Chadwick Boseman and Harrison Ford. Great movie, 42. Everybody should have seen it already. If you haven't, check it out. You could really see what this guy went through. Just an amazing man. A hero to not just baseball players, but everybody out there. Something that we should celebrate all the time. Unfortunately, we're still kind of living through some of this, but anyway, 42, Jackie Robinson, check it out if you haven't. Great movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great movie. And, I agree with Chris, and sorry about the technical difficulties. I will be back on my home field next week. So well,
you can apply for an appeal and get your suspension lessened. But we'll take it to the Players Association, Rob. But yeah, awesome. All right, you've been listening to Clearing the Bases. The bases are empty. There's no runners left. Just bad takes that the ABS can't fix. And we'll see you next week on Wednesday for inning number 4.
Take care, guys.
Chris, you got to take us off. I can't do it.